I'm Jim Flick, and I have been known to give a few golf lessons for some period of time. And I am truly excited about this phenomenal tool that you've just purchased that's going to help you play better golf. The Swing Guide is something we've needed in our industry for a long time. Regardless of the concept you're using to build the parameters for your development of your golf game, whether you're trying to make the arms be responsive to the body or the body responsive to the arms, the fact still remains the ball only knows what the club tells it. And this phenomenal tool, which is developed by my friend Mr. Peter Ormsby, a professional from Australia.
Jim, nice to see you.
Peter has done a marvelous job of developing a very simple tool that's going to help you find the center of the golf ball with the club head. Peter, tell us about the tool and how you put it together and what its purpose is.
Well, Jim, as you can see, it's a very simple tool. And as you've slide it over the end of the shaft, down to the club end, we bring it up onto the grip so that the swing guide is in line with the club head. Put on the end of the grip, take your left-hand grip and hold the club at 90 degrees. You'll notice that the swing guide is about an inch away from my wrist. I need to bring it up next to my wrist to have it at a perfect right angle. Bring the guide up, check it again. You'll notice I'm in the correct position. Just take a point that the end of the shaft of the grip is extending out of my left hand. It's very important that we don't over-grip the club at the end there. Go back. The leading edge of the club is the place to be square. We want that vertical. We have the swing guide correctly in line with the shaft. Now once that's set, we can then replace the bolt. You'll notice there is a recession in the head there to take the bolt head. Put the bolt through, put the wing nut on, tighten it up, and then we are now ready to go.
I'm very proud to tell you that our Swing Guide has a number of features and benefits far beyond what you may see in this simple little tool. And I'm going to let my mate, Peter Ormsby, help you understand and become aware of a number of those. But I would like to get at the heartbeat around which the golf swing needs to be developed. And that's the ability for the hands, wrists, and arms to allow the club face to be squared up consistently against the back of the ball. There's nothing more critical in making this happen than the placement of your fingers and hands on the golf club. I've never seen a really good player who couldn't feel the weight of the club head and its position through his golf swing. Problem of it is that takes some time. But remember, the golf swing is a habit formation exercise, not necessarily a thought process. You need to use your Swing Guide daily for just a few minutes and get comfortable with how your fingers are on the club and how you feel the weight of the club head as it squares up against the golf ball at impact. To address the problems that you should become aware of in your grip, let's talk about your left hand. The problem that I see most players having is that the club comes too vertical into their hand and restricts their wrist hinge. So I would like to get the club underneath the butt pad in the back of your left hand, running into the second joint of the index finger on your left hand. So the club would run diagonally in a manner, and I think you're better if you leave a little of the club exposed at the back. You'll have better control of the club, especially in the wind. I would ask you to consider putting the thumb to the left side of, to the right side of the shaft, because at the top of the swing, the club should rest on your left thumb. The thumb should be at about 130, but that puts the Swing Guide right into the back of your left wrist and keeps the shaft in the right angle between your arms as you're learning to swing and feel the club. Your right hand. I've seen a lot of different grips of good players in their left hand, but most every good player has the club deep into the fingers of their right hand. Not at the first joint, but at the middle joint of the middle two fingers on their right hand. And that puts the club in a position so their wrist hinge becomes a reaction to the weight of the club head. And that's what makes you consistent, so you don't have to think about it happening. The Swing Guide will help you develop that sensitivity so that your hands and wrists are compatible in the effort of moving the club and swinging it in and around and up, down inside, back to the striking position that we're looking for. Most every really good player has the club deep into the fingers of their right hand. Not the first joint, but the middle joint of the middle two fingers of the right hand should come from underneath the grip of the club in a manner that now makes the wrist hinging very compatible. And your wrist will work in a manner that allows you to consistently feel where the club is as you're swinging and using it. The ability to play golf with a sense of rhythm is based on how you use the golf club and that you know where it is during your golf swing. I've never known a really good player who couldn't feel the position of and the weight in the club head throughout their whole golf swing. The swing guide will help you do that. It should look something like this. From the correct starting position where your arms can hang and suspend in front of you, you feel the swinging of your hands, wrists, and forearms, and you will see the weight of the club head making my hands react and my wrist, hands are putting the club in the proper position at the top of the backswing. From there, my arms can swing down in close to my body and under my shoulders. The weight of the club head will make the swing guide come away from your left forearm. Your hands will release the club head, and on the forward swing, it will come again into your left forearm where we had at the top of the backswing. The swing guide will help you get a consistent release in your golf swing, and that's the heartbeat of the golf swing. Regardless of what the rest of your body's doing, your hands and arms must have the ability to consistently put the club face into the back of the ball.
Included in the box with the swing guide is a sweatband and a rubber band. If you're practicing a lot, please put the sweatband on because it will save any discomfort on the arm when the swing guide comes and meets with your wrist there. So, the rubber band, for beginners, for normal regular players, or even the good players, this is a good little exercise. Slip it around the swing guide and then around your wrist. On the backswing, as we go back there, the wrist hinges. What's happening here is the rubber band is helping the swing guide pull back into the correct hinging position. As Jim said, coming through, the weight of the club head will pull the swing guide away from the wrist, extend the rubber band, but here it pulls it back into the wrist again, so we do get a correct hinge in that wrist on the follow-through. So your practice method is back and through with a lot of rhythm there, and the rubber band is pulling the swing guide back in and all the way through. So to swing online every time, hook the rubber band on and use your swing guide.
Peter, I never cease to be amazed how much attention really good players give posture and alignment. So while you're set up properly, let's see what the right posture might be to help us make some swings that'll make our swing guide even more effective as we use it. And that looks reasonably good, Peter, but I'd like to see you stand a little taller with a little less knee flex so you feel like you're up a little higher, and then your chin is back and your back a little straighter. Now what that does, that gives you room for your arms to hang and suspend more freely. And as I've seen the swing change fractionally the last decades or two, what's happened, we see the club head swinging in front of the players more, so it feels like the club head stays in front of their hands while their hands are staying in reasonably close to their body. And the club is swinging in front of them. That's why we have so many tall players emerging, if you will, the Nick Faldos, the Nick Prices, the Tom Lehmans, the Ernie Els. For so long, we taught the swing in a manner that the club got behind people very early in their backswing. And then, Peter, the swing guide would never connect to your left wrist, would it?
That's right.
So that's one of the benefits that you've engineered into the swing guide. So let's give us a motion before we hit some shots. Give us some motion of how the club could swing it on up to the top of the backswing with the shaft staying in the right arc. That's it. Now swing it on down and let the swing guide connect to your left forearm on the forward swing. Ah, yeah, I like that. Now do it again. Let the swinging motion create a rhythm through your feet and legs, and they pick that up, and you sense where the club is swinging and where the swing guide is coming into the back of your left forearm. Again, posture is very critical. You want the weight on the balls of the feet. It gets there by hiking your bottom up, bending at the hips, getting you out over the golf ball so your arms can hang underneath your shoulders, and that will dramatically affect the efficiency of your swing line. Critical factor in making your swing guide do even a better job in creating more consistency in your striking action.
The swing guide has many benefits, whether you're practicing by yourself or taking a lesson from your golf pro. Some of the fundamental points that can be achieved by using swing guide, even the position of taking your stance. When the swing guide is directly on top, the club face is square. If I turn it slightly open, it's very easy to see that the swing guide has moved to the right, so the club face is open, which could instigate a bad backswing with the club head coming inside the hands, or vice versa. If I turn a little bit to the left, the swing guide will then show the club face is closed. The face itself doesn't look that bad, but this makes it very obvious. So there's a very good basic fundamental. At the top of the backswing, when we get up to there, we really want the swing guide resting against the wrist, so it's in that position. A lot of people will take the club back, so at the top of the backswing, the swing guide is missing the wrist there and the club face is closed. This can result in a hook. Vice versa, if we go up and the swing guide comes between the arms and misses the wrist, the club face is open, this will result in a slice. So there's a very good position to be able to try and achieve the swing guide perfectly on the wrist. Another one that people do on the backswings, they bend the left arm. It's pretty obvious now the swing guide isn't hitting the wrist. Straighten the arm is now looking very good and in a very, very good position there. We go through, back on the wrist, and we're in a perfect position. Some people swing too short in the backswing. So where we normally set the swing guide up so it meets the wrist, this time here I've put the swing guide at the base of the grip. Really what we're trying to do now is achieve to really make this wrist hinge work as hard as we can to force the person to get the club back into a correct horizontal position at the top of the swing there. So just by putting the swing guide down to the base of the grip, we can really make the person really work his wrist that little bit extra to get into a good hinging position at the top. For chipping, put the swing guide in its normal position. This time we're going to use the rubber band as we showed you before, so that goes around the wrist. This time I want you to go right down to the base of the grip so your hands are hard up against the swing guide and you're gripping down the shaft. What I try to do there is teach people just to hinge a fraction to get the swing guide meeting the wrist. We go through and re-hinge, because most people, as you're aware, will try and scoop the ball up. Now this is a very bad action there. So just by getting a little hinge there down the shaft and go through, just with a slight release of the club head going through. Then once I can teach them to do that, I then just teach them to hold on through. So you really take all the wrist out of the swing, it's back to there and then go through to there. Very good to work with, so try to do a lot of work with your chipping that way. Putting's another one that swing guide can be used for. This time I've put the swing guide on the side of the putter, so it's at 90 degrees to the top of the grip there. Get the rubber band, put it twice around the swing guide. This time with your forefinger, push it through the rubber band, take your grip, and you'll feel the pressure of the swing guide on the back of the wrist there. With the action, this is what we're trying to get, no wrist at all. Once the wrist release, you can feel the swing guide come away from the back of the wrist. So rubber band around the swing guide twice, finger through the forefinger through the rubber band, and a nice shoulder action will give you a good putting stroke. The last one is where we put two swing guides on. This time, this is really for very low handicappers or pros to practice with. It's for a 60-yard pitch shot. We're trying to get the same angle in the back of the left wrist as in the right wrist, so that when the club goes back, the swing guide will hit both wrists correctly. It's a shot where it goes up, that we stand the club up and keep the club in front of us at all stages and go through. You need someone to help you with this one because we need a rubber band on both just to connect the swing guide to the wrist correctly. So it's just a little 60-yard pitch, stand the club up, straight through and back into this position there. If you use swing guide and practice with it, your swing will definitely improve. So enjoy the game and make sure you practice with your swing guide.
Thanks for buying our swing guide. Use it frequently, whether it's in the office, at home, on the practice tee, but shorter, more frequent practice sessions are much more beneficial than an occasional long-term effort. Use your swing guide and your swing will be online every time.